Tonight begins our new series, Something Sucks, with episode 1. This is going to be a new series of different things that suck, okay? And this week, it's going to be a movie. Might be something completely different next week. I have an idea of what it's going to be next week, but I have to do some research and kind of get my ducks in a row. I made a decision 3 or 4 or 5 nights ago to watch Forrest Gump. I was wrong. It was a bad idea, but I did it, okay? And I remember when this movie came out, it was all the rage in 1994. It made $700 million at the box office. I mean, it was an insane, thing that happened. And I watched it. And as with many things that I made the decision of in the 90s, it just doesn't hold water like it did back then. I had a roommate in college, or a buddy lived next to me that read the book. If you read the book to Forrest Gump, you were a grade A loser, okay? So just put that on your gravestone when you end this place and walk off into the ether. So we're going to go over why Forrest Gump, the greatest movie of the early 90s, sucks, okay? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. All right, again, this made a ton of money. And I don't know why, because there's a lot of things about it that just are stupid, okay? And not the least of which is the fact that it starts off with some cheesy CGI. You remember how amazed everybody was that they made this feather, this wispy feather, just float down and all. And then we learn later, that's not a real feather. That's CGI. I don't even know what CGI, computer-generated imagery? Is that what that stands for? That's what it's going to be tonight if it's not, okay? But we're all amazed at CGI. By today's CGI standards, that was like an Atari 2600, okay? It was stupid. Feathers are stupid. I don't like feathers. I don't want to see them laying around because that means something has killed a duck around here. And ducks are disgusting, okay? And then he reaches down and picks up the feather. Do you know how disgusting birds are? They have their own flu, you asshole. You're sitting at a bus stop, leave stuff on the ground, okay? And where does this feather come from, okay? You're in the middle of like Savannah or Charleston or one of those southern cities, it seems. Who did it better? American Beauty, okay? Comes out later on in the decade, I guess. That sounds right. 98, 2003, somewhere around there. And they have that one scene where like like a paper bag, plastic bags like blowing in the wind and whatnot. That was kind of cool, okay? And that was actually real. But this feather is just stupid, okay? That's enough about the feather. We enter the life of young Forrest, and he's sitting at a bus stop talking to everybody, okay? Nobody wants to talk to anybody. On a bus, near a bus, at a bus stop, nothing like that. And he's engaging these people into all kinds of conversation, okay? Now, you got to think, we find out later that he's there to see his one true love, who is a complete C-word when we get right down to brass tacks about it. And yet, we spend 2.5 hours talking to strangers, like 9 different strangers every hour are shuttling through this bus stop, right? And he's just picking up where he left off. These people are sitting down like, why are you talking about shrimp? I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. You're weird. Leave me alone, okay? And he's waiting to see Jenny, okay? Jenny, the love of his life. And yet he's going to waste 2.5 hours of his life sitting at a bus stop talking to strangers about crap that he doesn't know. But then again, Forrest is not the smartest person that we've ever met here. They say he's got an IQ of 75. On a lot of scales, mental retardation starts at 70. I don't quite think he's that stupid. Of that level of intelligence, that it's that low that he can't function. I mean, he obviously can live alone and all that. We don't ever see him driving a car or anything like that, but he can obviously function enough. He just seems really dim-witted and naive, I guess you could call it. I just have a problem with all the talking and the time spent at the bus stop. Like, get on with your life. And then we get one of the greatest quotes of the movie. Life is like a box of chocolates. That's what your mom, the whore, told you, because she is a whore. And we'll talk about that in just a moment, okay? Because that's why you got into school with the non-developmentally challenged people. All right? Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you get. If you buy a Whitman sampler, you do, because when you open that yellow box, all the crap is right there on the inside. Who buys a box of chocolate that doesn't tell you what it is, that's no fun. That's no fun at all. Because if you've got a peanut allergy or you think almonds are the devil, you don't want to bite into that crap. Maybe, you know how like most women don't like coconut, root beer, or the Three Stooges? You don't want to be biting into coconut, okay? You need to know what's coming. That's why something like the Whitman sampler is where it's at. Then life isn't like a box of damn chocolates, okay? So that's stupid, all right? We learned that General Nathan Bedford Forrest, Forrest, like great-grandfather, started the KKK. I thought that was weird that they even threw that in there. Like, I don't know what that had to do with anything. But nevertheless, that lineage beget the whore, Sally Field, the mama, who has no qualms whatsoever about just laying it down with the principal or the headmaster, whoever it was of this school, and just shagging it up with her son, like sitting on the porch. Now, you know, they're living in Alabama, okay? So ain't nobody got air conditioning down there. So everything, all the windows are open, all this stuff. And her mom's like right up in an upstairs window banging the principal. And he's just sitting out there with his little leg braces, just chilling on the porch, you know. And you would think Forrest would have a dog. I don't know. Forrest seems like the kind of person that Sally Field would have bought him a dog. I think it's kind of child abuse-ish that Forrest wasn't given some kind of pet. He needed a pet, you know, something to kind of entertain him and whatnot. But she beds up with him, and then he comes out and he's straightening his ties, bow tie or whatever, putting on his shoes and whatnot. And that's just not really what I mean, if you got to bang the principal to get your son into a good class, okay, send him to the store for a moon pie and an RC Cola. You know, give him a couple dimes and tell him to go, you know, buy some hard candy, you know, get some sweet tarts. Go see what Willy Wonka has come out with this week. The everlasting gobstopper or something like that. Send the dude away for 15 to 30 minutes and give yourself some time so that you're not stunting the dude's growth by sitting out there on the porch listening to his mom, you know, scrogging some dude upstairs in this open house, right? I have a problem with that on a parental level, okay? So then we got the whole issue of the leg braces, okay? Does he got spina bifida, scoliosis, some kind of paralysis, cerebral palsy, whatever it is? He breaks out of it by running. Now, if this was the key to all of those maladies in life, that would be really simple, wouldn't it? We just tell him to go get chased by a truck or some kids on bikes, and bam, your spina bifida is cured, you know? And yet we see no lasting or lingering effects of any of these problems that he has once the braces just disintegrate into the earth. And then we meet Jenny, whore number 2 in this little movie that we've gotten started here. Yes, that's right. Jenny's a whore, okay? I don't like Robin Wright Penn. I don't like the fact that she's been married like 9 times and only Sean Penn got her name. Why isn't she Robin Wright Witherspoon or Robin Wright Girardot or whatever her new name is? I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not French. Oui. Okay? But Jenny, okay? They basically steal the story from My Girl. Anna Chomsky, Chum in the water. I don't know what her name is. But the little girl in what do you call it? My Girl, and what's his name from Home Alone? Macaulay Culkin. They got this, it's the same story, and that was in like 91, 92. It's a few years prior to this. They steal the heartwarming, gut-wrenching story of, you know, it's just the opposite. One dies. You know, the dude dies because he climbs up a tree and, you know, gets stung by a bunch of bees, goes into anaphylaxis, and then dies. And Veda Snodgrass or Snuffin' Horror or whatever her name is in that movie is just left to hang out by a tree. A lot of like what Forrest Gump did. Now, I don't know when the Forrest Gump book was written because I didn't read it because I'm an American, but I'm assuming that he either ripped off My Girl or the people that wrote My Girl ripped off Forrest Gump. But either way, it's kind of dumb, okay? But yeah, Jenny's just a straight up whore. Then we got the second great line. Stupid is as stupid does. I don't think that, you know, if you really extrapolate what that means, it basically is saying that people are going to be denoted by their intelligence regardless of their intelligence by what they do. Which, you know, I don't know if that really proves Forrest's point about being stupid and yet, you know, able to, you know, run a decent life. I don't really know what that means. I don't think anybody knows what that means. You know, and I think it was lifted off of some kind of literature back in the day or something. But at any rate, you got that going on. And you got Jenny and Forrest who ride the same bus. And yet Jenny lives out like in a cornfield, like on the outskirts of town that seems to be about 11 miles away from this, austere, like great looking house that Forrest grows up in. It just seems odd that they're on the same bus route. And we're introduced to the fact that Jenny's got daddy issues, and they are well documented throughout the movie, because everything she does, from her drug abuse to her illicit sexual partners and everything else that she does, is all from her daddy, okay, who clearly did some things with her that he probably shouldn't have done, okay, and then that gets kind of resolved later on because he dies of some sort, and fathers are not really a strong suit in this movie to begin with. We don't really even know what happened to Forrest's dad. Is he dead? Did he leave? We assume that he left. He walked out on old Sally Field, probably because she's banging like the entire, school, all the teachers and the principals and the guidance counselors and everything. But, you got that going on. Then we get Jenny, who, again, with the daddy issues, is at like age 8, sneaking out of her house and going over to Forrest's house. Now, again, I don't think they live in the same neighborhood, okay? So she's sneaking out of her house at 8 in like a nightie, okay, and no shoes, and walking across the county of Greenbow, Alabama, right? And sneaking up, slithering up a pole. And if you look at the house, you're like, how does she even climb up there? There's no anything to climb. There's no guttering system that you could get a foothold on, but she climbs up and goes in the second floor and, sleeps with him and whatnot. And all that. I would have a problem with that if my 8-year-old was just gallivanting across the county to see other boys on the other side of town. That's just kind of weird. And then we see Forrest. He transforms into this great football player. Okay, well, not really a football player. He just runs really fast with the ball. And I counted, like I'm watching him run, right? I don't know anything about football. I'm pretty sure it's like 100 yards for a field. And I watched and I rewound it a couple times, because that's the kind of stupid crap I do. And continuity issues really bother me. Like, you got 400 people on the set. Can no one figure out that, like, the glass is here and in the next shot it's here? Like, why can't somebody do that? Why can't we find an actor who can actually make a B minor chord instead of just, to all of us who play guitar can go, that dude ain't playing the guitar, right? That's lip sync for instruments, right? But, I counted 27 10-yard lines. So he went like 3 football fields running. That still bothers me, okay? Nevertheless, Tom Hanks, what are you going to do? You see then that he goes into college and he's sitting out in the rain. He's waiting for Jenny. And Jenny, of course, is, getting finger banged in the front seat of a Ford Falcon in the rain, and he goes over there and for like one of many times throughout the movie, he tries to save her, and she gets out, and then they go upstairs and they start making out. She shows, one of her breasts to him, and things happen. And what I'm weirded out about this is, like, the lights are on, everything's normal, and we're of course left to believe that Jenny didn't play doctor with young Forrest at some point in their formative years. It had to wait till, their freshman year in college. I think not. I submit to you that did not happen. But also, right, like, the lights are on, and then what do we see? We see the roommates, like, dude, I'd be sitting up and be like, hey, could y'all go find a Ford Falcon to sit in? Because this is my room too. Like, this is just weird, man. Like, I heard everything y'all said, and now this dude with like a 62 IQ is in your room, and who the hell is this guy? And why is he wet? It's just a little odd. So then we move from the roommate sex scene in the dormitory, and then we move on to the Dr. Pepper scene. The dude drinks 15 Dr. Peppers, okay, and tells President Kennedy's guy. And I remember when we had this, oh, look at President Kennedy and Johnson and Nixon, and they're interacting and they make their mouth. It looks so stupid now. Looking back, it was kind of cool. The fact that they were able to do that, to CGI lips, I don't know, whatever they did. But the dude doesn't even sound like Kennedy. I'm sure there's tons of comedians that could do a Kennedy impersonation, and that guy doesn't sound anything like it. But he drinks 15 of them damn Dr. Peppers, okay? I think after like 7 or 8, you'd probably be like, I like Dr. Pepper, but we need to chill on this. My teeth hurt. Like, that's a lot of sugar. That is actually 600 grams of sugar and like 2,300 calories, okay? The dude, he's going to have braces on his teeth soon because his teeth are going to be falling out. They're going to need something to root them up into the bone of his face. That's a lot of sugar at one thing. And Doctor, he doesn't strike me as somebody that would partake of something like that. His naivete just seems like he'd be a water and a milk drinker. I don't know, maybe like a 2% guy, maybe less than 2%. I don't know. But you know, you got that. Then he gets on the bus, and the bus driver's yelling at him. Okay, I don't get that. Like, I had a bus driver for many years when I was a kid. We actually had manual transmission buses back in the day. You know, and none of them yelled at me. You know, and that whore that got on there, you know, and she's just yelling. I don't get that part. Like, that, maybe that's what they did back then. I don't know. There's he goes into the military, and we meet Bubba Gump. Bubba Gump has a very short stint in this movie. Like, his tenure is very, very, very quick because he gets mowed down in Nam and all. And somebody parlays this whole Bubba Gump shrimp thing into a restaurant idea, buys the rights to it and all this stuff. I looked it up. There's now 38 of those bastards that are still in existence. 36 of them are in airports. That's the only place I've ever seen one. Is in airports. Because apparently when you go fly, you should pay $28 for shrimp scampi. I actually looked up their menu, and for $65, you can get a low country boil for two. Okay, two. That is, of course, crab, shrimp, sausage, corn, and potatoes. Do you know how much of those ingredients you can buy for $65? Like that, why do we think a low country boil? Is it the time involved in actually preparing it and all that stuff? You know, you just throw it out there. Throw it out on the dang table, and then throw some, crap, I've got Mrs. Dash in my head, but that is not what you put on low country boil. You put Old Bay seasoning. That's what I'm thinking about. Old Bay, right? Okay. Jenny at some point is turned into like Joan Baez. She's doing a scene on the stage, and she's getting like a heckler. She's not going to have a big career in music if she can't handle a little heckling from some drunk dude in the front. But she gets, of course, this is the second time, as I recall, that Forrest intervenes and starts punching people and going to her good graces to save her. And then she runs out, gets in a car or a truck, like just jumps in with some stranger dude. Again, you know, I guess growing up with an abusive father like that in the middle of a cornfield will allow you to not worry about getting in a car with a stranger in 1969. But she leaves her guitar behind, which I find odd that, you know, you want to start a career in music and you just left the conduit, the vehicle by which that whole thing will be created. That's kind of dumb. So then we're over in Nam, and we're introduced to Lieutenant Dan. And Lieutenant Dan talk about how like everybody in his family, like 17 generations back, had died in an American war. That is when I do something to preclude myself from being involved in the next conflict, okay? That is not the point of war, is to go and die. That's dumb, okay? That's a horrible strategy. If survival isn't your number one thing, you're probably missing the boat a little bit, but I think that would, you know, and if I'm Lieutenant Dan's dad, I mean, listen, okay? Let's not go, maybe he's dead too. I guess his dad would be dead too. Maybe if I'm Lieutenant Dan's mom, I'm not letting him just apply to the military. They're going to have to come draft him in, because I'm not just volunteering him because I lost my uncle and my dad and my uncle and my dad and my cousin and my, you know, all these other Dan people have died. That's just stupid, okay? And while we're on the subject of Vietnam, I've never understood how in the constraints of war, when you're in a firefight, you know, in a jungle or wherever, and you're able to get on that phone, right? And you're calling an airstrike or something. How do they hear on that thing? Like, I can't, like today, I was riding my truck and I had my windows down. I made a phone call. I had to roll the window up because I'm going 65 miles an hour and I can't hear what they're saying. And I'm on an iPhone, okay? And they're in the middle of Nam in 68 on this, you know, phone calling an airstrike. I don't understand how the airstrike people back at Missile Command or wherever are like, how are they even getting those coordinates? I don't get it. The technology is just lackluster at best. And yet they still seem to fire it in the right place. So I guess it worked out. But, you know, I didn't like the fact that, you know, when everybody in his platoon is getting mowed down and killed. He turns tails and runs for like he's got 270 yards on a football field to go. I didn't like that, okay? And I don't think they put people in the military that have 75 IQ. Maybe they do. I don't know. People that can be in the military, and I'm sure they've run across a few infantry men that probably had IQs that low. But nevertheless, the cowardice displayed by Forrest kind of would negate the Medal of Honor that, what was it, Nixon or Johnson? I think Johnson gave him later on for saving everybody. I don't know. That just doesn't really conflate with one another, if you ask me. He gets shot in the ass. So he's put in the hospital, the military hospital with Dan, who has no legs now. And, rises up the rank of sergeant, even though he's called private throughout the whole movie, but his stripes denote a sergeant. And he's on the gurney, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I wonder who the genius was that, because if you go to a hospital now, if they put you in the ER, you go into an ER room and they put you in this bed, right? And if you need an X-ray, they just wheel the bed down the hall and go stick it where it is. And yet they've got this where you're on a bed, and then they bring a gurney in, they got to lift you onto that. You got people who are horrifically burned, all kinds of scars and bruising and everything else going on. I think moving them is probably the last thing you want to do, even with that little triangle dinner bell that you can hold up with, with traction and everything. But the person that said, hey, why don't we just put wheels on the bed, okay? And you can name it after me, Thomas Gurney, or whoever. I don't know why they call it Gurney, but they do. So then he gets out of there, and right before he gets out, he comes back from playing ping pong because he's discovered that he's good at ping pong, which oddly enough, I discovered in college that I'm really good at ping pong. I didn't know this, but I worked concrete when I was in college. One of my jobs was pouring concrete. And so I worked on the street department, and at lunch, before and after work, these dudes would all get together. All these mountain rednecks would get together and have these throwdown games of ping pong. So throughout this first summer I worked there, I got pretty good. We had bought our own paddles. What was it? The Butterfly Company? What is the main? There's a producer of that stuff. It seems like it's Butterfly. I could be wrong. But nevertheless, I got really good at it too. But it also made me think, I'm in mixed double tournaments. I was one of the top 3 ranked people that summer. That first summer I worked there. But it also made me think, this really isn't that hard. This is a pretty simple, stupid game. So I don't put a lot of stock into it. And I'm pretty sure I could beat any of those Chinese people that play 74 feet away from the table, because I would just go up and, crush it right there. I mean, we don't need to play, a football field length away, 270 yards that is, from the table. That just seems completely counterproductive to, your defense should just be going up and slamming it off to the side, and he's over in the third row. He can't get to it quick enough. It's just kind of dumb. Although it is impressive that they can hit it that far and get it to where they want it. But nevertheless, he comes back from his little afternoon hitting ping pong balls into a bedpan, and he comes back and he's like, "Where's Lieutenant Dan?" They're like, "Oh, they sent him home." He's not going to say something, or he's not knowing he's getting out. I didn't like that. That was dumb. Okay, let's pick up the writing. Okay, is that how the book was written, or did we just, what is this, Zemeckis, Robert Zemeckis? He make this movie? Where's the screenplay? We can alter things if we need to, if it's that stupid of a unbelievable thing. Right? So then we roll into the birds. Turn. I don't like any song that just steals something out of the Old Testament and turns it into lyrics. Okay. If I just go to Leviticus and go to the 3rd chapter and just put a D chord and a C chord over it, that's not a song, right? And that's all they did. And I didn't know that. I think it's a psalm or proverb. To every season, turn. Okay, don't say thanks to me 3 times in a song. That's just stupid. Okay, and don't be stealing things from the Bible you didn't write. That's not. I mean, that's like me turning the raven into a song. That's stupid. Okay, come up with your own words. Okay. We get to the next section that I just thought was kind of odd. Not odd, but I never understood. It has nothing to do with the movie, but the song for the New Year's celebration, I guess they're in New York or whatever, and the ball's dropping. I guess the ball dropped in 80, I guess. Auld Lang Syne song, Lang song, long auld long song, Auld Lang Syne. Nobody knows what that song is called, or how to pronounce it, or in what order the words go. It's true fact there. Just throwing that out there for you. So Nixon comes up to him when he meets Nixon. Dude's met 7 presidents now, going back to Hoover, Truman or something. And he says, "Oh, where are you staying?" "Oh, I'm staying at the Comfort Inn down on Route 63 at the frontage road." "Oh, let me put you up at a nicer place." He puts him at the Ebbett, where they did the Watergate scandal. Now, knowing that this was going to happen, because we got to assume that Nixon knew what was going on with the DNC and everything. Why would he put somebody in the scene of the crime? Like, you would want them to be on the other side of the world, you know? And from the many times I've been to Washington, it wasn't until one of the last times I went that I realized that the Watergate, it was just like, it's like right across, you know, the Potomac. It's right behind the Lincoln Memorial. And that actually was that in the movie, so I thought that was kind of cool. But I just thought it was kind of odd that he would suggest that as a hotel when that's about to be the scene of one of the major crimes of the century and everything. And then, so he gets out of the military, everything's copacetic. He decides to go into shrimping. Knows nothing about it. You know, he's pulling out like a Swatch watch in an old Mountain Dew can out of the ocean and not getting anything out of it. And he buys a brand new shrimp boat, as they call it. This thing looked horrible. This was not a brand new shrimp boat. It was very old, decrepit, and it was stupid, okay? For all the money he had from his ping pong days, he could have bought a really nice thing, and he didn't. And then what's he do? One of the dickish moves that he does in the entire movie, he names the boat Jenny, not Bubba, okay? Not Bubba, who planted the shrimp seed in his little pea-brain 70 IQ point head. He should have named it Bubba, okay? The SS Bubba, not Jenny. Why are you going to name your boat after a whore? Why? Because boats are women, right? I think they all have feminine names, maybe. She, don't they call them she? I think they do. Maybe that's why he didn't do it, because Bubba's not a girl. Nevertheless, I would have named it the SS Bubba, and I'd have had the only dude ship in the port, right? So I didn't like that. But then we see Lieutenant Dan roll back into the scene. He's back on you know, how he finds him and all that kind of crap or whatever. But he's sitting there in his wheelchair and he's sitting on the dock, and you know, we're about to all be amazed by, again, the CGI technology of Dan's legs not existing and anything. And he's sitting there, and I don't like it because he's standing there and the boat goes by and he jumps off. You know, Forrest is completely just ignoring the fact that we're clearly in a no-wake zone, okay? You don't go rolling in at like 20 knots, you know, when all the other shrimping people are like, "Hey, man, you know, we're trying to do business here." And you're rocking everything. We're trying to sort all our shrimp, as it were. And I house sat one time for a lady that had for a week while they went to like Costa Rica, her and her weird husband, and they had like eels. They had these 2 Russian wolfhounds that were taller than I was, and they had like 9 cats, and they had shrimp. And I had never seen shrimp before. You ever seen these bastards? They're weird, man. They got these antennas. It didn't look anything like what I've eaten 1,000 times. I'll tell you that much. You really don't eat a lot of the shrimp. There's a lot of waste with the shrimp because those things are way bigger than that little comma that you eat and dip into, you know, horseradish or whatever that red stuff is, tart cocktail sauce. That's right. You know, but anyway, shrimp. So he rolls in, he jumps out, wake zone be damned, and he wrecks the boat. And then wrecks the boat, like the boat goes this way, and the next thing you know, it's crashing this way. I didn't like that either. Again, continuity, man. You got 412 people on this set. Why can't somebody be like, "Hey, man, the boat went that way, and we're over here crashing it going east. That's stupid." And then it crashes into this like floating dock that has no purpose of being there. Okay, this isn't a swimming area. It reminded me of The Raft or The Blob or whatever it was, that Stephen King and Creepshow 2, where all the kids get out to that floating raft, and they've got like this blob of, you know, gelatinous goo tar that like eats people. That kind of stupid movie. But at the same time, like, what do? Like, you just wait it out. Like, you can't wait till somebody comes and brings a helicopter or something, because you touch the water, it's gone. But it's just this dock in the middle of nowhere, and he wrecks into it. And I guess we just don't care about our property. I mean, that was, again, one of the brand new shrimping boats. Then he ends up going, and he's the only boat left standing because everything gets, you know, destroyed in the storm. And they're out, you know, with the perfect storm out at sea and all that stuff. So he cashes in with all this shrimping and whatnot and all that stuff. Well, then Sally Field, the grand whore of the movie, okay? Well, I say that. Jenny's probably the biggest whore. Jenny probably had a lot more run through her than Sally Field did. Sally Field just needed her son to be placed in a good class we can only assume that she did that one time. But yeah, maybe she hooked up with that principal several other times. I don't know. He seemed to enjoy it. But and if Sally Field looked anything like she did in 1978, I can understand that. But nevertheless, Sally Field's now dying. I hate Sally Field's bed, okay? Why did we make these white wrought iron beds back in the day, man? Could you imagine how your pillows would just fall like behind the bed? There's no headboard. It's just like 3 rails that are like 4 feet apart. I could wake up and my head be stuck in between. I don't like that at all. I hate her bed. I'm glad she died in it because it needed to go with her. And then what she end up, did Jenny end up sleeping in it? I think Jenny was in it too, maybe. I could be wrong. But anyway, I don't like Sally Field's bed, okay? Mama, you chocolate loving, stupid is as stupid does, blah, 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 blah. So then she dies. Forrest is a millionaire, and yet he's driving like a Snapper Comet, like with a 22-inch deck on it, mowing with that stupid little steering wheel. Man, if his mean's gonna get something new, man, he's gonna get a Bad Boy or a Hustler or a Toro or something, right? Anything but them stupid John Deeres. Like he's gonna get a nice Kubota or something. I don't know if they had that stuff in the 70s, but whatever that version of a Kubota was in 1973, that's what he would have had, not some stupid little Snapper, because those are stupid mowers. So then we roll through, and all of a sudden, Forrest is living his life, and all of a sudden, up in one, he just like decides to take off running. Okay, and that's great, man. Like take off running. That's good for your heart. You're good cardiovascular exercise. Get out there. Get your heart rate up and run and all this. But he leaves for 3 years, 2 months, 14 days, and 6 hours. Okay, just left his house unlocked. Okay. Do you know what kind of disrepair your house would fall in 3 days or 3 years and 2 months? Like it would be absolutely falling apart. Not to mention all the creatures that would be living in it that had taken up, housing in it while you were gone. There wasn't any internet there. You couldn't just pay your bills online. All the power shut off. The bank's like, hey, I know you're rich, but we ain't got a mortgage payment in like 2.5 years. Like they foreclosed on that place, right? You're not burying Jenny in the backyard by the pond or the tree at all because you don't own that. The bank does. First Citizens of Greenbow, Alabama owns that house now. Damn it. Okay. Not to mention, you didn't like drip your pipes on when you spigot outside. Your air conditioner doesn't exist, but your heat's not on. So your pipes are all going to freeze. The house is just going to be a damn shambles. You're going to come back and just be wrecked, right? That just seems really dumb. Did he pick up a phone at some time and be like, hey, could you lock the front door and cut the heat on low, so the pipes don't freeze and all that stuff and everything. I mean, I'm sure he saved on his utilities because there wasn't much going on there, but I don't know what he would have had to come home back home to. That house obviously would have needed paint. I could see shutters hanging off of it. There's probably like a den of raccoons living in the kitchen, that have just gone through all this rancid food. Have you ever seen a refrigerator that somebody like moved out and left, and then you open that refrigerator? Oh, the noxious, malodorous, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's like death personified, okay? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to go running across the world and then come back to a refrigerator that's like got like cultured food living in it and crap. Like that's not cool at all. And here's the other thing I don't like about it, right? Is he goes running and he runs all the way over to like Tempe, Arizona. I don't know where the hell he's at, but he got all these people following him. Kind of morons just follow some dude because he runs. He's got a big beard because he played ping pong and got shot in the ass and sells shrimp. That's just stupid. Because you know who they didn't follow? Terry Fox. Now that's a man who had some scruples about him. If you don't know anything about Terry Fox died in like 1980 or something. Lost his leg to cancer, and to bring honor and awareness to cancer, as if some people didn't already know about it, since we're usually touched by that at some point in our life with somebody, if not ourselves. He runs from east to west, I believe, across Canada, right? Starts running, and he's got one leg. Dude's running across Canada with one leg, okay? Ain't nobody following him. He's just got like his buddy in like a van, right? They made an HBO movie about this. You ought to watch it. But then it ends up killing him, right? Because the cancer spreads. He can't finish. He goes like 140 days or some crap, like running across Canada and all that crap. Terry Fox, right up here. Forrest Gump, down here on the floor, don't even care. Can't even tell what chocolate he's about to eat. So don't start with the running thing. And then who stops in the middle of the desert. Doesn't even got any water. Doesn't got those little gel packs on the little belt thing they run. And I'm gonna tell you another thing why I don't run, okay? I don't run long distances. These marathon people, like, they're crazy, okay? They're crazy. Shin splints, bleeding nipples, runner's diarrhea. What of that does that sound appealing? Hey, you want to go run this weekend for 27.5 miles or 26.2, whatever the heck? No, I don't, okay? 5K, a little bit more than a 5K. That's about my limit right there. That's about as much running as I need to do, okay? So, although I will say, Terry Fox, gotta admit, that dude had it going on. Terry Fox, you the man, okay? They should have made a better movie in '94 about Terry Fox, because the one in like the early '80s on HBO was not as good, but we're talking about the early '80s. So, So then we fast forward to some idiot he's sitting there talking to on the park bench or the bus stop bench. He's like, hey, you know that where you're trying to go is like a half a block that way. This dude's too stupid. He's smart enough to figure out where she lives, but he isn't smart enough to know to go the whole way. Like, why would he need a bus? Like, how did he get to where the bus is? Why wouldn't he just take the cab or the whatever? I don't know what town they're in. I'm assuming it's not Greenbow, it's some other town. But anyway, he knocks on the door, and Jenny comes to the door. And she answers the door like any whore would answer a door, okay? And he goes in there, and he realizes that he's got a son because they had sex. And they had sex in his twin bed, which was, of all things, probably a better decision than having it in that stupid Sally Field bed. Because that's just kind of weird. I mean, it was like where your mom died. Like, you don't want to be creating Forrest Jr. over there. But he's like, that is, it named him after his dad. Oh, that's my son. He's smart. He's so smart, Jenny. Right? And so he goes in there, and the kid's like 6, 7 years old, right? Like, this whore has been just globe-trotting across the country with like the Black Panthers and the Weather Underground and Squeaky Fromm and all these people, these dissidents in the country that just want to be all subversive and blow stuff up and target politicians and what all this crap. And then she gonna have a kid and not tell the dude for 5 or 6 years. He's already a moron. He's already a simpleton. Okay, he's already like several points lower than Rocky. Okay, and now with 6 years later, I've gotten to miss all the greatest years. I mean, those are the greatest years of those kids' lives, right? And you just missed it. He wasn't doing nothing. He's got all the money in the world. He's just riding around mowing the grass at the football field on the weekends. Yeah, that's all he's doing, his little snapper mower. But goes in there and says, oh, hello, little Forrest. What are you watching? He's watching Bert and Ernie. That's what he's watching. You can see it on the TV. I mean, if it was Snuffleupagus, maybe you're like, I can't remember that character's name, big like woolly mammoth looking elephant creature with the big eyelashes that look like a VW Beetle, whatever. But it's Bert and Ernie, okay? Next to Grover and the big yellow bird and I guess that's it. And Oscar. Those are like the main 5 characters of the stupid show. It's not like it's Count or the Swedish fish throwing guy, or maybe that's the Muppet Show. That's the Muppet Show. Nevertheless, but yeah, it's not Snuffleupagus, okay? Or that 2-headed monster, the little purple monster or whatnot. You remember the one where they had the one with the long arms? The one monster had long arms that he couldn't bend, so he could reach the fruit at the top of the tree. And then the other guy had these short arms, and he couldn't reach the fruit, but he could reach his mouth. And they had to learn to work together. That's what we need more of in this world. And I don't even think Sesame Street's on the air anymore, right? Lessons like that of how to help each other out, right? If you've got long arms that don't bend and another person has short arms that only bend to your mouth, work together, man. It's just, what am I talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so then they decide to get married, okay? And they go back to Greenbow, Alabama, all right? And they get married at the house that apparently has been completely renovated from the 3-year sabbatical that he went on while he was, crossing the country, trying to be Terry Fox. And she comes out looking like she looks like an idiot, okay? She's wearing that stupid like John Phillips hair thing, like, when you're going to San Francisco, be sure to wear flowers in your hair, right? It's okay, that's dumb, okay? You look like an idiot. And your dress looks like a burial dress from like 1840s, okay? You look horrible. And he's wearing, like, it don't even matter what he's wearing. He should have looked at her and been like, I'm going to need you to change because I'm not marrying this in this crowd, right? And then Dan shows up. He's got this Asian lady that he's met, and that's his new wife, right? Okay, cool. And so we see like a wide shot of the wedding, right? And they're out there in the backyard by the tree and all this crap. And Dan's standing at the back. He's got new legs. Hey, you got new legs, right? And he's standing, but like, do they not bend? Like, he's the only one standing. And there's a seat right there. Like, he could have sat down. I don't get that. Like, I guess that was to promote the fact that, hey, man, Dan can stand. He's not in his chair anymore. You know, he doesn't look like Tom Cruise from Born on the 4th of July anymore, drinking, what did he say, Rumple? What was that, like malt liquor that he was drinking? I can't remember. Anyway, so he goes through, he gets married, she dies, all this other crap. And then after she dies, Forrest inexplicably has her dad's house bulldozed. You don't just get to bulldoze people's houses, man. Like, did he buy the whole cornfield and all that stuff? Because that house, remember how ramshackle that house looked like? That's the house. That's what Forrest's house looked like when he came back from running for 3.5 years. Okay, so Mr. Chariots of Fire, you know, and all that. So then he talks about the 4 people in his life. I mean, or he doesn't talk about it, but you realize that he's had 4 people in his life his entire. Jenny, Bubba, Dan, and his whore mama. Okay, 4 people. I guess you can consider that black lady that like was his like wet nurse, or I don't know what she was, but she like lived in the house and all that stuff, and maid or whatever, live-in maid or whatever. So I guess maybe 5 people, but 5 people in your whole life. That's all you got. Okay, I don't get it. Okay, and then the last thing happens, right? Little Forrest gets on the bus, same bus driver, which is a little suspect. I don't know how long the career of a bus driver is, but this lady has driven, 2 generations of Gumps, right? Presumably his dad too, but we don't know where the hell he's at or what his backstory is. But then he gets on the bus, right? And what's he got? He's got a damn tote. Like he's going to a sewing class at the local civic center, right? Like, dude, don't put your son on a dang bus wearing a tote bag. Kids are rough enough picking on people, and you're going to give somebody a tote bag. Little Forrest Jr. going to get his ass whooped the first day of school, right? I'm Forrest Gump. This is my tote bag, right? Just right in the kisser. So, again, I think you need to go back and look at these movies through, do some revisionist history. Change it, okay? Just because you liked it back then, don't like it now. Just because you did. Go back and watch this trash. Because it's hot trash, okay? You go back and you're like, God, what was I smoking in 94 that made me think this was? And again, this movie was made for like $55 million. It made $678 million. That's like me saying, hey man, give me $100, and then I hand you $1,200 back. And you do that, thousands and thousands of times. Like that's quite the return on the investment. But it's because these idiots went and saw it 678 times, I can't see movies like that many times. It's dumb, okay? So, that's Forrest Gump. That ends episode uno. Episode uno of our new Something Sucks series. Giddy up.